brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Hello. We're back. Yes.
Seems like we were just here.
I know. And yet, we're here again.
And here we are again.
Exactly.
Yet again.
For another fun-filled adventure with beer. Welcome, everyone, to another Suds segment where really good beer meets rather questionable radio. I am your hostess, good old gal Julieanna, and with me today at the table is good old boy Dave.
Chicks dig me because I rarely wear underwear, and when I do, it's usually something unusual.
That says it all.
It pretty much does.
Oh, if you could only see the smirk.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a smirk that only a mother could love.
He's
right
brought
there.
Bill Murray to the party, and for that, he's more than just. He's beaming.
He's beaming. Yes, he's beaming.
Pardon
when
it
works.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Also with us today is good old boy Caperton.
Hello.
And then also for return visit is good old boy Reverend Mark.
Return, but not going away anytime soon. Good to be here, folks.
Well, heck no. Not if we have anything to do about it.
GOBRM.
Lock him up.
I'm going to start calling Mark
Gobberm.
GOBRM.
Sure, but of course. So today's episode is another brewery takeover because we love brewery takeovers.
We do.
And this one today is Birds Fly South Ale Project. They are from Greenville, South Carolina. Dave, let's see if you can read what you copied off the website and do it without screwing up this time, maybe?
I think we all know what's going to happen. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and accept that challenge.
Attaboy.
You know, the first thing you notice on their website is the phrase, progressively old school urban farmhouse brewing. That's like 7 contradiction in terms in one phrase, but here's what they say about themselves. We make craft beer with a throwback approach. Through a combination of time-tested brewing, blending methods, and modern practices, we create beer that is complex,
kind of like that word,
provoking, and above all, delicious. I hate you guys. We focus on farmhouse saisons and sour beers. With each barrel, puncheon, and fooder, our beers develop their own sassiness. Sassy. Mm-hmm. Their own mind. We like to say, we don't make beer. We wait for the beer to tell us what it wants to be.
In quotes there.
That's right.
Special
That's
quotes.
what the beer actually says.
I was going to do the air quotes, but it's radio.
Yeah.
The name Birds Fly South is a Johnson family inside joke. For the last 22 years, we lived the Coast Guard life, migrating across the country. Our family is a flock, always looking to make it our way south. Once we landed in Greenville, we knew we had found our home. This is where we as a family and as a brewery are supposed to be.
Aww.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's their theme song.
I still don't know what that was. What was that?
Birds fly south for the winter, then fly back.
What's that from?
Somewhere I don't want to say.
Okay, we can't really say. Okay.
I don't have to acknowledge it.
I'll research it
Yes.
later.
Okay.
I'll show you where it is.
Great. Well, I'm excited to talk about this brewery and the beer that they make from this brewery. But first, we're going to have a brief word from our sponsor.
From the law offices of Scratchers J. Scratcherton. Are you a kitty? Do you need an attorney? Call the law offices of Scratchers J. Scratcherton. Scratchers J. Scratcherton, attorney at law. She'll fight for her clients, give injustice the claw. Scratchers J. Scratcherton is not licensed to practice law in any state.
So now that we're back, Reverend Mark,
we're
would you
back.
please give us today's lineup?
Are we really back?
Oh, we're back.
We're back.
And I'm in a lineup?
You're in the lineup.
Oh, no.
This is not the first
This
time.
is not going to help.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Here we go. The Birds Fly South Ale Project beers that we will be sampling today are, drum roll, Rumblefish. Yes.
That's the rim shot.
That's all we have, dude.
And next, Paper Airplanes, Rustic Sunday, Brand New Eyes, and last, the American Sour collaboration with Thomas Creek Brewing.
Yay.
Yay.
Mark.
That sounds awesome. So now, I guess we have to get to that point. Good old boy Caperton, would you do us the honors of the Suds ratings, please?
I'll do the honors, all right. We will be discussing and rating these beers with our time-tested, peer-reviewed, highly scientific Suds ratings. Plus, in addition to that, as if that weren't enough,
Dude, it gets better.
our signature belching sounds. And here are those ratings from lowest to highest. With a rating of 1, that sucks. Give me anything but a bud.
I feel the pain.
That's right. It's pretty bad. A rating of 2. Was that a belch?
It's like he really doesn't know.
Well, it's a question.
It is.
There is a question mark there.
That is. He knows punctuation.
Unlike that, there's no question here with a rating of 3. What a relief.
You feel it.
Yeah.
Rating of 4. A body really, really should not make that sound.
You know, it's funny. That phrase is used a lot around here. You know,
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not just to rate
I can
beer.
imagine.
you know?
Yeah. Exactly. That's what
Yes.
I was thinking. Yeah. And our highest, most exalted, utmost, the pinnacle, the apogee, if you will, of ratings with the Sip, Suds, and Smokes crew is a rating of 5. Listen to that hang time. Give me another.
Was standing ovation worthy.
Wow. I mean,
Yep.
yeah.
I've been warming up. Mom, I hope you're catching this. Your baby boy just shined.
It may not ever get better than that.
That's
Wow. That was extraordinary. I'm going to need a
Sorry,
minute.
I need to wipe away the tears a little bit.
I feel like I delivered those with enthusiasm and verve.
You know, if you think
did.
if you think I cried during The Notebook, oh, and did I cry? That was nothing compared to this.
Wow. Okay. I think it's time for some beer. Let's reel this back in.
Yep.
So, good old boy Dave, what's the first beer today?
The first beer we'll discuss is Rumblefish, starring Matt Dillon.
No, this is a beer. It's not a movie.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I think it's
Wait, is this isn't about the movie? Because my notes.
he only wrote notes about the movie. We thought
The beer.
We thought we
Okay.
were reviewing a film today.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, this is a beer.
I can shift gears here.
Yeah. So this beer, yes, called Rumblefish, which I got to say, the artwork on this is pretty cool. So Chris Cole, whoever you are,
Great job, buddy.
good job.
That is a
Good job.
Siamese fighting fish.
Yeah, it
I
looks.
think
it.
is the actual technical.
Like a beta fish?
No, that's a different fish.
Oh. Which
Yeah.
one would win in a fight?
Well,
This
that's
is
a good
Yeah,
question.
this is pretty cool, though. Well, this farmhouse ale is bursting with Calypso and Citra hops and fermented through their Solera program with their house yeast and some beloved Brett. The saison has been re-fermented in the bottle for at least a month. And go.
1 month?
1 month.
Like
at least 1 month.
30-day month or 28 days?
These are all green bottles.
What if
too.
it was
I
made
feel like we
in-
should say at some point.
Yeah, these are all
that
green bottles.
Sean at Birds Fly South is like our Bob Sylvester, St. Bob.
Mm-hmm.
They go European.
Are fully committed to the green bottle.
They are fully committed to the green bottle.
Yeah, but
Tradition.
kind of laying it on the line a little bit there.
Well, it can go, like the birds, it can go south on you.
And I'm not sure. I'm going to jump in here before Dave gets started
do your
and
thing,
say that I think a little bit of some of these beers might have had a little bit of the light struck quality that a green
I think
bottle
they were
Yeah.
tanning
Yeah.
one day.
But like I said earlier, I'm not sure that isn't intentional. If you're going to put your stuff in a green bottle,
if you're going to leave your stuff out in the sun,
that's right.
Something might happen to it.
Might get Anyway.
Well, real quick, so what we're talking about is anything that has hops in it, if it is left in the sunlight or gets direct sunlight, it can produce off flavors, usually what you think of as skunkiness.
Exactly.
And so that's why a lot of brewers use the amber, the dark brown bottles.
What we think of as brown bottles.
Yeah.
Just filters just enough of that UV light.
It
out.
protects it, and that's why cans are even better a lot of times because they are totally opaque. So that's where we're getting some of that skunkiness from some of the beers. But
and it's not like super pronounced, I don't think, in any of them.
No.
But just a little hint, maybe.
Just a little something, something.
Some breweries appreciate it,
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
It's not bad.
We'll be right back, guys.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever, sweet love.
Welcome back, everyone. We are in the middle of another brewery takeover. Yay! Yay! Today's...
that was almost in harmony.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. So today we are talking about Birds Fly South Ale Project. And good old boy Dave, what's the first beer that we're going to talk about?
First beer, Rumblefish.
Rumblefish.
In a green bottle.
Not the movie.
In a green bottle. Yes, not the movie. Oh, well, why don't you start talking about it then?
Okay, well, I'll just start talking about it. So this was one of the hoppier beers in the flight. It's pretty aggressive. As it warmed up, it's changed a little bit, but it's still, I get some residual bitterness from this beer that, although I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a solid saison, it's a little off-putting to me that the hop bitterness lingers just a little bit to me. And it just kind of prevents me from really wanting to drink a lot of it, even though I do enjoy most of the flavor. And so this is one that I gave a Suds rating of 3.
Good old boy Caperton, what'd you think of this beer?
I thought it as a saison. I thought it played really well. I think a lot of that character came through. A little bit of spicy, sort of clove pepper sort of character. but I would not say that it were what did they say? Bursting?
Bursting.
Yeah.
Bursting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting any hop bursting going on here. But I do get, as good old boy Dave pointed out, quite a bit of bitterness. Not particularly over the top, but certainly about as much as I would want from my own, just speaking for myself, from saisons. But I still, it was a pretty solid beer, and I gave it a rating of 4. I would drink a few of these on a hot summer day. I'd come back to this one.
Good old boy, Reverend Mark. What'd you think of this beer?
Okay, well, as I looked down the list of beers that we were sampling, I noticed this one was more hop intensive, so I waited till the last to be pleasantly surprised.
He's thinking. He's the smart
He
one.
is.
He's the smart
And I was, not completely taken aback by the hops. They weren't that overwhelming, but still, you could get that lemon zesty kind of aspect that comes from the Calypso Citra. I think, though, that in some respects, this particular saison may be more like the traditional saisons were. They were kind of served in the summer a lot, and they were lower gravity. This one isn't really low, but it's kind of there, and they're kind of the equivalent of a pale ale, only Belgian. And so it fits the profile, but I just felt as though it was not as balanced as a saison is that we now come to expect. So all things considered, it was really good. I could drink a pint of it, and I gave it a 3.
Yeah. It was a little sharp for me. I think the base beer itself was really good.
Yeah.
But a little sharp, and I wanted to find the Brett, and I couldn't find the Brett, and I just got a little confused by it all, if that makes any sense. Now, to drink this quaffable in the summer, sure. It just wasn't exactly to what I was reading on the bottle, if that makes any sense. And maybe some of it just came from the green bottle, that sort of thing.
And we had this beer before. We had it a year or two ago at one of the Funk Fests in Nashville.
He had it at Funk
and
Fest.
it was
it blew me away.
I was very impressed.
Yeah.
It was fresh as a daisy.
Yeah.
It really
so I
was.
think that does definitely make a difference.
And that's probably what it is that it is a little bit
Still
older.
a very solid saison.
Yeah.
No, it is. It is.
I would drink it.
And the base beer itself was really quite nice.
Yeah.
So basing it on that alone, I'm giving it a 4. And moving on, good old boy Caperton, what beer would you like to talk about?
Here I am.
You are.
Wandering and dawdling. We will talk about the paper airplanes.
Yes, you will.
Which, unless I'm mistaken, and I don't think I am,
He
since
rarely
I'm
is.
looking at the website here real quick. Although everything's on our script here, our script. It's kind of funny to call this a script, but
Wow.
sorry.
No, it's not.
It's 100% Brettanomyces Foeder fermented farmhouse ale, wild ale with Nelson hops. And like I was saying, it's these 100% Brett beers always strike me as very clean tasting, despite the funk, if that makes any sense at all. And this one's no exception.
Kind of like it pares down the funk a little bit.
It does, I would imagine. It was nice and dry, but the Nelson, I felt like maybe was a little lacking. Might have lent a little bit of a sort of a wine sort of quality, but I got sort of a slight chalkiness from this. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, right? But taken in context with all the rest of these beers, I gave this beer a rating of 3.
Rev Mark.
Yeah, I'm like right on the same page this Caperton here about that. I thought it was, it was sour, it was dry, but it was a little astringent. And I thought it kind of had a cidery aspect. I mean, not overwhelming, but it was just there was some kind of a hard cider kind of fruit aspect to it that wasn't off-putting, but it was a little bit alarming. So for me, at least, I think that it was it's a good. It would. I thought it was actually better as I started out with it, as it was cold, and then as it's gotten warmer, which is not, it depends. Some beers get better and some don't get better. So that one was one that didn't get better with as it warmed up. But say that, just lay it out there. I have, but still, I gave it a pretty decent rating of a 3.
I kind of liked it. It was a little lemony for me. And there is that sort of the tail end of a sweet tart where it gets kind of powdery at the end. I got a bit of that. I don't know if that's your aspirin. And that may be coming from the breath that they have in it. But I thought it was very easy drinking, and I could have a couple of these. And I gave it a 3.
So I actually really, really liked this one. I thought this was one of my more favorite ones. And maybe it's because it was a more simple, subdued, straightforward funk. And the tartness was a little bit more like a sweet tart, because I'm a sweetheart and I like sweet tarts. So, I feel this beer.
Someone Heimlich. Does anyone?
No, I just killed Julieanna.
Yeah.
Well, someone move into her seat.
She's done.
No, but I really thought this was a cool beer that I could actually drink quite a bit of, and I gave this one a 4.
Mark liked it better cold. I'm going to say as it's warmed, I would almost bump it up a notch, actually. It's
just palate
it's gotten
to palate,
fruitier, I think.
Yeah.
And
I think that just shows you, everybody really needs to try these beers because you have to taste it for yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with Brett, I think everyone's palate can be different, on what they're picking out.
Serving temperature is my new burden as well.
Yes. Definitely.
I've taken upon myself.
Sure.
I try to drink a lot of beers at near boiling.
Yeah.
Because I want to really understand the beer.
That's
I'm
going to try
luck
that when
with
I
that.
get home.
As it sears the inside of my throat.
I'm going to do it here, but I'm going to do it at home.
I get a lot of burns.
I'm closer to a hospital.
Hurts a lot, but you really get to know yourself and the beer at the same time.
Wow.
And you're yodeling. You probably practice your screaming.
Helps my singing voice.
I'm sure. Okay, moving on. Good old boy, Reverend Mark.
Good old boy, Reverend Mark.
Yes.
GOBRM.
Pull us out of this ditch.
Yeah. What beer would you like to talk about?
Here comes the AAA truck right now, backing up to us here. All right. Well, I really did like this beer myself because, and I could tell it as I first tasted it, and this is kind of a bias that I have as I buy and brew beers. It's a rye forward saison. So it has some really good. What's it called? It's called Rustic Sunday. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sunday, Rustic Sunday.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about
like
Rustic,
the U2 the U2 song.
Yeah, it was a song.
Yeah.
Sunday,
maybe
Rustic Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was from what I recall.
If only it had been.
Right. Well, that
It
would be
would have
kind
been
of cool.
much better. Yeah.
With so this is 7% ABV. It's a rye forward farmhouse ale, dry hopped heavily with Hallertau Blanc, the new Hallertau beer.
That means Hallertau White.
Right. Very good. The hops combined with their house yeast provide aromas of grape skins and white wine. Spicy flavors of the yeast also tangle with the rye to create a crisp and refreshing 7% saison.
Yeah.
Please.
So, I mean, I really think it owns its name. It's of all the 5 that we are sampling today, I think it's the most rustic. I mean, just like right off as you sip it, it just is unbounded in that respect. It conjures up a little bit of a mustiness, pepper, a little bit of whole grain nuttiness, but not nutty in a brown ale sense, but it just kind of this artesian nuttiness. So I just, I thought it was a saison that I could definitely return to again and again. So for me, at least, I would give it, or I have given it.
Do it. Say it.
A
You got it.
4.
Dun, dun, dun. That was a forceful 4.
It was. We had
Yes.
to drag it out of him.
Reverend Mark brought it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Punch that 4
He's like,
out.
this is what you want to hear. This is what you get, son.
4.
Yes. Well, I'm in complete agreement. This beer is delicate and forceful at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Like Julieanna.
A
Pretty
fist with a velvet glove.
Oh. Nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And
Sure.
brass knuckles
That's
under
why
the
you guys
glove.
keep me around.
I think
That's
so.
not why.
No.
That.
Well, it's one of the reasons why.
I read the
I mean,
belch ratings really
His
well.
belch ratings are you're locked in just off the belch ratings.
Well, there's that. But what I really enjoyed about this is the base is very classic saison.
Are
Very
you all
light.
about the bass?
Yes.
Boom.
All about the base.
Boom.
Yes. But
No treble.
where do we get this guy from? I swear.
He's full of it.
Yeah. But what I really enjoyed was this is a classic saison. I mean, very light, just crisp enough, very delicate, and what you would expect, from a true saison. But then you've got just enough of the rye in this, to give it like an almost, Latin-y kind of shabam kind of thing going on. And I thought that was really nice.
Latiny shabam.
I was going to let that go.
Latiny shabam.
I did write it down. I'm writing it down, though.
Good luck spelling it.
Shabam.
That might be my new stage name.
Shabam.
That'd be a good stage name. Latiny shabam.
Sorry.
On the main stage.
Nah, that's all right. That's all right. But I think this was perfectly named because it is very rustic. And I can only assume that rye was very prevalent, in the old classic saison styles back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I just thought this was very well executed. This is one of my favorites of the flight. And I gave this one a 4.
They weren't making white bread back in those days.
That's right.
No, they weren't. They weren't. Good old boy Dave, what'd you think of this beer?
I'm with you guys. I really enjoyed this beer. I'm a big fan of rye in all forms: bread, whiskey, beer.
Catcher in the Rye. Yeah.
Books.
I like that book. Yeah, sure. Rye Cooter. I enjoyed the music of Rye Cooter.
That's good. That was good.
You like that? Yeah. I just barely got
I was about
that
to
one
throw
out,
some
man.
Holden Caulfield references in there, and you came back with Rye Cooter.
Well, I bring it, man. I got some surprises.
And Rye, are you here?
Rye, oh rye.
Rye, would you say that? So I don't know what we're talking about at this point. Hold on, let me try this beer again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Thank you, Rustic Sunday, for bringing me back to where we were.
There you go.
This is just a really well-rounded beer, and it's totally quaffable.
Mm-hmm.
That's a trademark word, by the way.
That is.
Everyone
TM.
owes Reverend Mark a nickel every time you say quaffable. But yeah, like I said, man, I really like rye, and this is and rye saisons are some of my favorite style of saisons, and there's not a ton of them, and even within that, not all of them are done well, but this one is really good. And the way they hopped it, I think, is very complimentary. So I gave this one actually a 4. Go Caperton. Go Caperton.
Well, who am I to disagree with so much brain power at this table? I
Does he know what table he's sitting at?
I guess not.
I really liked this beer, and it may be, yeah, it's such a good example of what they're doing there. He just hits all the points right on the head. It's got a lot of Belgian spicy. The rye maybe lends a little bit of that spiciness.
Right.
For sure. And the Hallertau Blanc, I think, are great hops for saisons. I mean, it's just, I've really enjoyed. In fact, we've got a little something to drink later.
Oh.
Yeah. A little bit of fruitiness, just enough as it's warmed up, and a little bit of maybe white wine quality from those the Hallertau Blancs as
kind of
well.
fruity and a little winey,
little whiny,
just like
fruity,
little boy
just like
Mike.
me. That's what they used
yeah.
to say about me as a kid. He's fruity and he's whiny.
but just a touch.
So I just really liked this beer a lot. It had a beautiful body, nice head retention, all the things that I would want in a saison.
Or a lady.
I would drink this stuff. I would drink this stuff until I floated out, and I gave it a rating of 5.
Oh, Caperton brings it strong.
The big gun.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about brand new eyes.
Brand new eyes.
Yeah.
They can't even see it. They're so new.
If only I could
Can.
get some brand new eyes.
You can.
From your lips to God's ears, I swear.
I've got my wife's glasses on.
That's just so pretty. Well, this is a 5.5% farmhouse ale with aromas of citrus and earth from the use of Motueka hops. Light in color and grain to allow the complexity of their house yeast to shine through. They bottle condition for 1 month with Brett and a select wine yeast to further push the complexity of this 5.5% saison. And yet with another interesting piece of artwork here by Chris Cole too.
Yeah.
What is it?
This. Well, we'll be back in just a
need
minute
brand new
to
eyes to
discuss
see
this
that.
beer.
Just the destination, but baby, the whole elation of riding down this lover's avenue. As slow as a willow blows, or as fast as the whirlwind grows, we glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my hand is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're flying south to us. Haha. We're talking about... We are talking about Birds Fly South Ale Project from Greenville, South Carolina. And the beer that we are talking about at the moment is Brand New Eyes. So let me start off by saying when I first smelled this, I immediately thought of the yellow lemon lifesaver that you get in the pack. It was very tropical. But very sweet tropical. And then I took a taste and it was all over from there. I really enjoy this beer because it's a lot of things, if that makes any sense. It's very light. There's a nice hoppiness to it. But there is also this like little cheesy quality to it that I actually really enjoy. And we were just discussing this during the break that maybe this might be due to dry hops, if they're using any dry hops on this.
Or it's actually aged hops.
hops.
When
Aged hops, okay.
Yeah.
when you use hops that are sort of past their prime, and like a lot of lambic brewers especially do use aged hops because most of the alpha acids are gone by that point, but you get a little bit of it. you can get that cheesy quality. Is
It
that
won't-
right,
it
Reverend
won't-
Mark?
It is,
and it won't inhibit the souring, the bacteria.
No,
Aged
no, it
hops.
doesn't.
That's the big
It
thing,
doesn't,
yeah, because
yeah.
the acids have fallen out. Yeah.
Well, I thought
musty,
this.
musty.
Gotcha. Well, I kind of like this must because I'm getting that.
You must like it.
I must.
must.
I must, and I am. So the tropical lifesaver quality of it, I really dug. But then it's got this earthy, cheesy mustiness about it that I really enjoyed too. And as it warmed up, it became even more pronounced. And I really, really enjoyed the delicateness of all of this together. And I gave it a 4.
Well, to quote one of the great, I won't say prophets, but one of the great wise men of our time, it ain't easy being cheesy. And so, this one, it has a little bit of that cheesiness that you typically would get from a lambic, but without the sourness, and I think it would be interesting to talk to the brewers about, like, is that what they were shooting for? Or was this some sort of offshoot of, things that might happen during the brewing process? But I'm with you. I think the tropicality, or tropicaliness, as you might say,
Tropicaliness.
yes, are really really nice. It's a very pleasant beer to drink, and I'm a big fan of it. And I see you're drinking a little more, so that's good. That's what I like to see. So I think it was one of the. This was a solid flight. I'll just say that this was a solid flight all the way through. 5 really good beers, but this is one of the better ones that I really liked, and I gave this one a 4.
Good old boy Caperton, what'd you think of this beer?
Well, I really liked this beer too. I love this hop. These guys used 2 of my favorite. These last 2 beers have been probably my current 2 favorite hops: Hallertau Blanc and Mochueca.
Is that how you really say it?
Mochueca.
Oh, I'm so
Motueka?
sorry.
Is that a
Okay.
New Zealand hop?
Or
It
as we
is.
say here in Tennessee, Mochuca. Mochuca. Yes, it is a, what area, region, city in New Zealand?
Oh.
Yes, I think. She's going to double check.
You know
me.
what? We're going to say that's a fact, and
Yep.
we're
going
gonna
with the
stand by
fact.
it.
So what I love about this hop is what you guys have been saying. It's got that nice lemony. It also, I think, occasionally can have a lemon lime sort of quality, and I sort of
Yeah,
get a little
like
bit of that.
mojito-y.
I
Yeah.
get that a little bit on the
Sprite.
nose. It exactly what you guys said. Just to kind of double up on that stuff. Just a slight musty funkiness, just a little bit. Really seemed to play well with the lemony character.
Sure.
Nice body, nice and dry. I would drink this stuff. Yeah,
It did have a
I'll tell
nice
you.
crisp finish to it, too,
Yeah. So all of that said, I gave Brand New Eyes a Suds rating of 4.
Not just a rating, but a
Suds
rating.
rating.
Because it's scientifically.
Not to be confused with any old.
We didn't just make these things up, by the way, guys. There was a lot of research that went through this.
Yes, this is
sciencing.
empirically verified.
Yes.
Ooh, I'm
Peer
glad I have my
reviewed.
sneeze
Peer
going on my
reviewed.
microphone here.
Ew.
Just,
A chew.
yes.
At you. Good old boy Reverend
Straight
Mark.
at you.
What did you think of this beer?
I like this beer a lot. It's really, again, I've been talking some about these today about the optics of beer, but this one was like a kind of the optics of it, whereas like it was this cloudy hay,
Brand New
kind
Eyes, and he's
of
talking about optics.
muted blonde, kind of funky beer.
Shouldn't most blondes be muted, though?
The best ones
Well,
are
yes.
funky. That I know.
And this one's a blended beer too. So, that's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
a lot
this
of
is
these
blended.
beers. I think
Yeah.
he blends a lot of these beers.
I think
That's
there's a
a-
lot of emphasis on.
It's a big deal. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought this one was the most highly attenuated of the 5 that we've tried.
So explain that, please.
I mean, it means that the yeast, whatever it did, it just like stripped out all the sugar. You know, it was pretty dry and just like.
That's why the dry finish. Right?
Yeah, and so I thought it kind of tasted like a very kind of a light grapefruit spritzer. You know, not in a bad sense, mind you.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And you know, I mean, I think, you know, this would be a green bomber that I would pick up at any upper level Kroger or, you know, whatever and enjoy it immensely.
For sure.
And
the rating.
The rating. Oh, yes. Let me think about that. No,
Science.
Don't have to think about it. This is empirically verified. I'm going to give it a solid 4.
That's science right there, buddy. That is science.
That is empirical science.
Yes.
Very good.
He
Very
used
good.
the scientific method.
Yes. So, good old boy Dave, what beer do you want to talk about?
The only one that's left.
Okay. So I guess you're going to talk about the American Sour collaboration with Thomas Creek and Birds Fly South Ale Project. This particular, so in this series of American Sours, you can either have a tart cherry, a black currant, a raspberry, or a blackberry. And we got lucky enough to get the tart cherry version.
We're going to get good old boy Mike the raspberry version.
We will.
That's what he likes.
Yeah.
As we always do.
So Thomas Creek and Birds Fly South breweries have collaborated to produce a golden saison-based beer that has been aged in sour with a particular fruit for up to 1 year. This series of American brewed sour aperitifs are designed intentionally to be tart and deliciously refreshing. And this one is 6.8%.
She's back.
Yes.
So,
all right.
Good old boy Dave, let's talk about the beer.
So let's talk about the sneeze guard on your microphone. So aperitifs, I believe those are things that you drink to whet your appetite before you have a meal, right? Or something like that.
That's it. That's get your
Got that right.
your
Ding, ding,
salivation
ding,
going.
ding, ding.
Yeah, get your salivation going.
Nom,
Yeah.
nom, nom.
Yep.
So this was a great beer. And, you know, Birds Fly South and Thomas Creek have a long history together. I think Thomas Creek was very instrumental in helping Birds Fly South get off the ground. Get it, birds. Get off the ground. See what I did there?
Boom, boom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to use that.
There it is.
This might be the best beer of the flight.
So to speak.
Yep.
Flight. I
Yep.
see what he did there. I didn't
Yep.
even
Wow.
know.
Yep.
Didn't even know. That's how good he is. That's why he is Reverend Mark. This beer is so tart, and it really does make your salivary glands really start working. And I really like it. I think the cherry flavor shines really well in this beer. And it is such a nice, you know, it's not overpowering or anything. It just is really well balanced. It's such a great beer. And I could really drink, I don't think you could drink a lot of it, but you really enjoy it while it's with you. It's kind of like Reverend Mark. You know, you don't want him a lot, but when he's there, you really enjoy him. What does that mean?
Well, thank you very much.
It's kind of mean.
I don't know how to take that.
I don't either. I don't even, you know, whatever.
What? Yeah.
So, anyways, I gave this American Sour Cherry Tart Cherry Aperitif Collaboration beer a Suds rating of 5.
Wow.
That was tough.
Dying to know, too.
I made that as dramatic as I could.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good old boy Caperton, what did you think of this collaborative beer?
Who am I to disagree with good old boy Dave?
That's what I'm asking.
This was a great beer. I'm not that familiar. You guys were with Thomas Creek Brewing. But I'm interested to try some of their beers now because this is really nice. I mean, it's definitely popping with the cherry, but not in that syrupy. They avoid that trap of sort of the cherry syrup flavor. It's definitely a tart cherry. definitely comes through big time. A little bit of lactic bite, a little bit.
Sure.
Not too much,
Not
though.
too
Right.
crazy, though. I mean, all of these beers, I should say, have been just very nicely balanced.
Yeah,
But,
controlled.
yeah. Nothing's too rowdy here.
Just us.
But yeah, I just really enjoyed this beer. And again, this sort of had the sweet tart, but not in that sort of powdery, chalky way. Just a nice sort of combination of the sort of the cherry and the tartness.
Right.
And, I'm going to go, with a Suds rating of 5 for this beer. Really like it.
He just dropped his mic.
Good old boy, Reverend Mark. What'd you
Good
think
old
of
boy,
this
Reverend Mark. Yes. I'm telling you, I'm kind of like in the slipstream with everybody else as we fly along.
Yes. It's like we're a flock flying south.
Yeah, very much so. Gosh, I thought this was a wonderful, wonderful beer. It was nice. It was crisp. It was just reminiscent for me of a really nice sort of cherry pie cooling off. As I started like putting my nose to the edge of the cup, it just made me think of all those times that I took an early slice of pie, when my mom put things out.
When no one was looking.
When nobody
Every
was
time,
looking.
right?
And it just, it was slightly bready and heady and in terms of just the nose. But, it was really, had a nice clean finish to it, but there was a tartness that was just, not enough to twist your tongue around, but just enough to kind of, put you on alert. It poured well. The head was nice and white and effervescent. It was really delicious cold, and it's really good now as it's warmed up. I just think it's a full spectrum beer. Mm-hmm. So, and the word, who was it that used this? I think it was Dave, as sophisticated as he is an aperitif.
Aperitif.
Yeah, it's an aperitif. Yeah, it kind of got my salivatory glands going too, very much so. Mm-hmm. So just amazing. So I'm kind of in accord with everybody else. I'm giving it a 5.
Oh.
This was everything that I really look forward to when I hear that a beer has tart cherry flavor to it. This is the kind of beer that I want. It's not artificial at all. This is very organic, very tart cherry, but in a very clean way. It's a beautiful beer. It's just crisp enough, and the malt really comes and shines through in the breadiness of this. And like Reverend Mark was talking about a cherry pie, this is that in one of the best ways possible. When Grandma didn't overdo on the sugar. It's just, and the color on this, if I could take a minute to just discuss the color on this is perfect for a cherry sour. It's not too dark. It's got a really beautiful light head to it, and
it's not red like a creek, but it's a nice kind of pinkish.
It's just very delicate,
very
beautiful, and it gets the salivary glands going, and it cleans the palate very nicely. This was my favorite of the flight, and I gave it a 5.
This was a really, really good set of beers, though, all around. I mean, even the ones that, obviously there are some beers that you like better than others, but all in all, this was I'm really glad we got to sit down and have these beers together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Here.
And I think the Johnsons are doing the right thing. And I look forward to trying some more of their beer.
Sure.
We're going to fly south to Greenville and try some more of their beers.
I'm guessing so. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, then. So that was,
Well, It's another episode in the books.
It's true.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can catch all of our episodes online as well as on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. iTunes, Google Play, and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show on your phone. Just search for Suds Smokes on iTunes or in the Google Play Store.
We love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com.
And our daily tasting notes continue to flow
Like a river.
like a something that flows out on Twitter and Instagram every day at Sips Suds Smoke, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news.
And we would ask you, please, 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 to take the time to rate this episode if you are listening to this online. Thank you so much.
Well, good old boy Dave, thanks for being here.
You can't drink all day unless you start early.
You can drink all day if you start early, yes. Good old boy Caperton.
It's always a pleasure. I can't imagine a more lovely way to spend my Saturday afternoon.
Aww.
You need to start imagining more.
Good old boy Reverend Mark.
Ditto on that, and look forward to being back.
This is good old gal Julieanna. Thanks for joining us. Listen to more episodes and keep on chuggling.
This has been a one-tan-hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.